Now I'd like to switch gears a little bit and talk about women in the workplace. I mean, there is I guess, out of the board, and I'm not sure whether it's public listed companies or companies general, but essentially only, slightly less than 8% of women are board, so 8% of board membership in Malaysia. I believe it's Malaysian public listed companies is less than 8%. And it's about, and there has been government sort of targets now to have the representation of women in boards, I think in PLCs to about 30%, right? That's the target in 5 years' time. Can we, using that as a context, as a backdrop, can we play the next clip, please, about what this gentleman who runs Tam Tiang Ho, who runs a very successful cosmetics company, have to say about women and men?
Guys are the big dreamers and big talkers, I know, but when it comes down to doing things, a bit tougher.
I agree.
He goes on to say, I think there was a second clip that to say the women are the doers. The women are the doers. They're more detail-oriented. Okay, quite very general stuff and things like that. And but is there? I noticed, for example, put you on a hotspot. Right now, I look at your board of directors. They look like this. And about 7 people, 7 guys sitting there, standing up, looking like that. No women on your board. In your management team, yes, you have women on your board. Women on your management team, but mainly in the shared services area, talent officer, not in these sort of P&L areas. What do you have to say about that? Would you get 30% of your board in 5 years' time who are women? Would you get perhaps 50% of your management team in P&L accountability who are women?
Your answer is we have to do a lot better than that. So we recognize that. In fact, there are a couple of even board meetings we discussed trying to find the right female gender to join our board. We managed to find one who is she's the number one HR head for Hong Kong Bank worldwide, actually, based in London. She's now the part of a subcommittee, the HR, the remuneration committee, and our shares committee. But she eventually will be part of our board. So that's the plan. So we have a plan for that. On the management team, you're right. We have a long way to go, and I think we have to be a bit more conscious. In this regard, I have to admit we have not done a good job yet, but it is our intention to have a good mix, both female and male gender.
Do you agree with the premise that having women as part either of a management team, as having women as part of the team, makes a difference to the performance of the team?
Generally, yes, but we will. I guess the point we want to make also, we will not do just because we have to find women. We get, someone is 10-20% worse, not as good. So we won't do it just because of that, but we will be a lot more proactive. Yes, diversity actually is part of a strategy itself, but in terms of nationalities, in terms of races, and in terms of female, male. It's not about female or male. It's about having diversity. That's more of a point rather than female per se.
Yeah. All right. Rajiv, your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, I'm very proud to say that in my organization, the ratio is 2 to 1. For every 1 male, we have 2 women in our employee base. Granted, very small company, but we're very proud of that. Secondly, coming back again to your points about leadership, again, in studying leadership in all these years, we have actually found women do tend to make better leaders than men. And the reason for that, and there's research to prove that now, and I'm not just making this stuff up. I mean, I've done my own research as well, and I'm writing now, but the reason is that the best leaders are those that are able to hold opposing ideas in their head at the same time. So you need to have compassion as well as stern, strict action at the same time. So you want to get a results focus, but you want to do it with compassion. Women tend to do those polar opposites better than men do, and therefore there is a business case, and there's lots of research out there to say that the more women you have on your management team, it's not just a nice to have. That for me to be able to brag about it in a forum like that, there's a dollars and cents case for that.
Okay. Now, the lead up to Sarah, there's a reason why we put you last on this question. Now, what has been the impediments? In McDonald's, have you ever faced the thought that that you not have progressed as far as you would like, or so on, because you're a woman?
Maybe when I started. You know, McDonald's 21 years ago is a lot different than it is today. You know, the McDonald's Canada management, it was the old boys club. You know, in the first meeting I ever sat in with the old boys club, they told dirty jokes and then looked down the table to see how I was reacting, right? Which wasn't good. Anyway, it wasn't good. But it's completely different now. And, you know, McDonald's last year won a Global Diversity Award for the work we've been doing towards not just women and men, but also different cultures in leadership around the world. In Malaysia, half of my leadership team is female, and half of my staff are female. The funny thing is, actually, my feeder pool for senior positions is majority female. Like, we're talking 80% women. So I have almost the opposite concern, is I don't have enough men coming up through the ranks. As a woman, you know, I've never felt like I've been held back at McDonald's. I actually, you know, I went as far as I could in marketing and said, all right, what do I want to do next? And I went and found the regional president for McDonald's for Asia and said, I think I'd like to be a managing director. And he said, well, you're going to need training. I said, yes, I am. And he gave me a chance. And so we're doing that with anyone who puts their hand up and says, hey, I want a bigger role.
Yeah. Right. What do you think have been the, you know, sort of impediments to women? I mean, it is a statistical fact, right? 7% of board members, only 7% are women. What is what's happening here? Does anyone have a root cause to this? Jamal? Do you have a hypothesis about why is this happening?
Tough question. I don't have a good answer for that. Partially because many of them have certain other priorities because of work-life balance and family especially. So that's in Malaysian society, that's one of the reasons. So they kind of filter out as they go along, right? Because the fact of the matter is, the senior management, there's no real such thing like work-life balance. So pretty tough for people who have a family to take care of. This more culturally. That's one of the biggest reasons, but not the only. There could be other reasons, perhaps. I guess the identification of women early days is very important. So as part of the talent identification, we have to find them much early in the game. It tends to be, once you go too late, that's where you don't get enough. I guess the point is we have to search them right at the younger age.
Yeah. At BFM, we generally do our, we're also about 70% women, but we find that post-children, that is a fantastic time to go looking for staff again. Is this a phenomenon that you see as well? I mean, you know, post-children, they're doing family, they're trying to maintain work-life balance, and we try to give them that. Is that something that, can there be a funnel back into the organizations? Or do you think that, you know, once you have had a family, the demands of the job is so, as you say, there's no work-life balance, even if you're a male or whatever, that this is actually almost an impossible task. Sarah?
So where are the men in child rearing? Right?
Good point. Yep.
So who says it has to be the mom that does all the work in raising the children and has to stay out of the workplace? Right? So in Japan, it's something we notice because all the way up until assistant manager level, 50-50, men and women. But at about the age they would be assistant managers, they get married and have children. And then culturally, the woman stays home and takes care of the children. So above that, we got like 5% are women because you see it happening.
All right. So you can't change the culture. I mean, as a McDonald's, you can't change Japanese culture. Right?
No.
What can you do to redress that?
Do exactly what you said, right? So people, they're going to leave, they're going to raise their kids. And when their kids get to school, you say, hey, you know what, door's always open. One thing we can do is they don't have to leave the organization because they've had children. You know, flex time, less hours. I mean, if they're a talent, then the organization will find a way to work with them in their lifestyle for as long as they need that. And then when they're ready to come back full-time, we bring them back full-time. So that's the one great thing about McDonald's is the flexibility in hours. So to hook on what Nick said, so why is it so difficult to get women on boards? I think two things. One is I'm not sure that men are really comfortable dealing with women and diversity of thought. You know, I got male managers that just do not want to lock horns with, you know, their female staff. Secondly is women are raised differently than men, at least in my generation. And I was lucky because my mom raised me to say, you can do whatever you want to do. But that's not always the case. Some women are raised to be told, you know, men are superior, you're only ever going to be, you know, this high in an organization. And so just creating belief that we can do it.
Okay. Yes, Rajiv.
One more comment on this issue?
Sure, of course.
I think you made a comment on with which you hit the nail on the head. This issue of diversity, not enough women at top, when there's not enough women in top management, there's going to be even less women on boards because that's the natural progression, right? We cannot change the laws of nature that there are more women than men that opt out for family reasons mid-career. I mean, yes, I would love to see that change, but that's the reality today. I think the solution to all this problem is exactly what you said earlier, which is when children are at a certain age, when they are more sort of independent, what have we do? We don't do enough. Not in USA, not in Europe, not in Asia, certainly not in Asia. We don't offer enough opportunities for those women to come back into the workforce in a meaningful way. Wall Street, where I was most of the time, you know, typical problem. In fact, some firms hire 60-40 at the entry level, 60% women, 40% men, and then it dwindles as it goes to the top because somewhere down the line, more women opt out for family reasons than men do. So at Morgan Stanley, we were going to start a program that got completely waylaid because of the 2008 crisis and never saw light of day after that, and I hope that they'll do it one day, but was this concept of a re-MBA. Again, MBA, which is create courses, say 3 months in duration, where somebody who's 40, 41, 42, who's done bringing up children to a level where they're willing to come back to the workforce, they've lost out the last, say, 7 to 10 years, give them an opportunity to relearn and then come back at a meaningful level, not here, to restart again. I think that's the #1 opportunity that the business world is missing.
Okay, you gave me a business idea. Fantastic. Sorry,
so
Sarah.
So we're seeing it with children. Women are leaving the workforce to raise children. What happens when their parents get old? Because that's what's happening now, is the population is aging, and who is going to take care of everyone's parents? And so we should think about that now, because it's coming.
Okay, and the point is that?
The point is, so people, if we want to bring women back in the workforce after child rearing, the next challenge is going to be who's going to take care of all the aging parents. I can bet you it'll be women. And so the women we brought back in are going to be leaving to take care of the parents. And so if we think about that now, some women want to come back in. We don't offer the right daycare. We don't offer the right flexible hours to fit into their life. And sometimes we just need to change the way we think about how do we have people work? And how do we make it easier for them to work? So can they work from home? You know, it's not daycare for senior citizens, I guess. But if we think about it now, because it's coming.
Okay, all right. So to put it to the fore, I mean, at PwC, what do you guys think? Yeah, it's generally, what do you guys think? Rani, do you have work-life balance in the way that is there a boys' club here?
Speaking from my own career development in PwC, I don't think so I've ever experienced a boys' club. In fact, I think being in a firm like this, women like me were made visible. And going back to your question about work-life balance, I think it's while we are here, the 8 hours, if you give your fullest to the work, and when you step out, you give the fullest to your family, that is work-life balance. It's not putting your one leg here and one leg there. That's where you really lose your balance. So therefore, women, I think I do agree, we need more mandatory and statutory-based kind of a pull to bring women to the top leadership position.
So you agree with the
kind of a target
and
would be good. Yeah. But I think the real push should come from women. Women like Sarah are great inspiration. If you really hear her story, how she has made it. So there are a lot of great female role models there who have got great family, great balance, and able to do it on their own without somebody actually pushing them out.
Yeah.